Happy Wednesday. Welcome into this live edition of Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We got a huge show on tap today. Coming up in just a bit, we'll catch up to speed on all the latest news and rumors you need to know on your Seattle Seahawks. We'll talk about a potential trade for Mac Jones, also a corner free agent target that we'll discuss here in just a bit. Also, with the cap space the Seahawks have now cleared up after releasing Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams, what will they do with said cap space? We got some ideas of some potential free agent targets for Seattle. Also, we will talk about replacements for Diggs and for Jamal Adams, who could take their spots on the Seahawks roster. And then we'll do a Q&A mailbag before it's all done with. If you want to be on that mailbag today, use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on today's show. As you guys file in and we get this show on the air and rocking and rolling, shout out your city and we'll shout you out. And pleased to welcome in today,
yes,
Jeffrey Cooperstein. Our old friend Coop is back in the building today as we get a little switcheroo going on today.
Smitty actually got fired.
Not quite, but we'll say he got fired today.
Reassigned.
He's helping out Eagles today. He'll be back next week. But in his place, Jeffrey Cooperstein is holding things down for us. Coop, welcome back.
Yes.
You betrayed us for Steelers, but now you are here making a cameo appearance.
Glad to be here on Seahawks Today. Always a fan of the 12s.
Usually you're our enemy, but today you're our friend.
Yes, I'm a friend of the show always. No ill will towards Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. We've had some legendary times on this show.
We have.
Not the least of which, Week 18 of 2022.
That was the time.
That was a great time. No, I'm glad to be here and talk some Seahawks ball.
Yes.
Time man, of course, in every single chat that I've ever seen at Chat Sports in the building.
So it's your choice, folks. You can either give Coop a warm welcome or you could put F Coop in the chat. It's up to you. But with that, shout out your city. We'll shout you out. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios in downtown Dallas, Texas here on this Wednesday afternoon. I got Dan Miller in the house. Dan the man, welcome back. Good to see you, man. He's in Spokane, Washington. I got Jerry in Maple Valley. A lot of controversy already about this Mac Jones idea. I'll explain more coming up when we get to that segment in just a bit. So
the 12s are not feeling this one.
No. When I explain more, it'll make a little more sense. Believe me, I get the frustration. But when I go further in detail, you kind of understand what we're talking about here. Georgie's in Renton, Washington. Mad Wolf also in Renton, Washington. Must be a hell of a time in Renton today with Georgie and Mad Wolf. I got Tasty One TV in Salt Lake City. I got Life in Richmond. Archie says draft Bo Nix. Space is in the Pacific Northwest. Coop, you and I, we're big college football fans.
Yes, indeed.
And I can tell you, I've never been a big fan of Bo Nix.
Look, I watched Bo Nix play for 3 seasons at Auburn, and he stunk. I watched him play for 2 seasons at Oregon. He was okay in his first year. He was actually pretty good last year. But I can never get over the Bo Nix that I saw at Auburn. And
me too.
I just don't see how he is a successful quarterback in the NFL. I don't see it.
He's the same guy that he was.
Exactly. That is a great point. He's the same guy. I don't think he's gotten any better.
No, he played against worse competition.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I am not a Bo Nix guy whatsoever.
I'm not either. Christian's in Wichita. I've been to Wichita many times. Good place. Archie says hello from New York. I got Wilk in Seattle. Let's see. Reggie says, bro, I would literally bring Russ back before this outrageous idea. Reggie, this isn't our idea. We'll explain. We're just the messenger of said idea. We're passing it along from somebody else. We'll explain here in just a bit. Brady is in Carthage, Illinois. Good to see you, Brady. All right, so yesterday, Seahawks made some news as they let go of Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, and Will Dissly. All 3 got cut. Done, so done. Not restructured, but cut. They are free to sign with anybody with a free agency beginning on Monday. Was it the right call to let go of Diggs, Adams, and Disley. Y for yes, N for no. I got to tell you guys, I'm very adamant. I think it was the right call. The Seahawks made the proper decision here. Diggs had an awful year last year. Jamal Adams can't stay healthy, and he's been a liability on the football field. And Will Disley, you can't justify the money that he was due when there was a lack of production. Even though the system in place didn't really help Will Disley be successful, with that said, you still couldn't justify the money he was being paid. I think it was the right call. Y for yes, N for no. Let us know what you guys think. Mad Wolf says yes. Archie says yes. Dan the Man says yes. Observer says yes. I got Nils says yes. Tasty says C. Coop, I understand, like, fans get attached to some of these players and everything.
Course.
Especially like Quandre was a great teammate. I know you love him, being a Texas guy. Will Disley was around for a bit. Jamal Adams, you gave up a lot for, although you didn't see the return on investment. I understand the connection with all three to a different extent, but at the end of the day, business is business.
NFL is a business, man, as they call it, NFL Inc. And the Seahawks really needed to clear some cap space to try to go at it next week, and this was probably the easiest way to do it. Jamal Adams is completely cooked as a player. Yeah. I know he's somewhat beloved within the Seahawks fan base, but he was just not the guy that the Seahawks traded for. What? 2 first-round picks, right?
Yes.
And plus a major contract extension. Quandre is kind of maybe I don't know if over the hill is the right word, but he's not what he once was either.
Right.
So it was time to move on, and I mean, Disley is Disley.
Right. Yeah, it's a great point. Chat seems to be pretty unanimous. I see Life says we're going to regret releasing Diggs. Here's the thing: when it comes to Diggs, too. You could still re-sign him if you want to, but you weren't going to pay him that money that he was owed with.
Do you think that's still a possibility?
I think with him it's a possibility. I don't think it's a possibility with the other two.
Okay.
I could see a world where Quandre comes back for less money.
Quandre loves the 12s. He definitely does.
I will say, though, like, Quandre, I would think that if he was going to stay, though, would have restructured.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think it's impossible for him to come back. He's the most likely of the three, but I still think it's unlikely at this point. But things could change. We'll see. With free agency starting next week, who's a player the Seahawks should sign in free agency? Coop, we're going to have a busy week next week.
Yes.
We're going to be live here on the channel when the Seahawks make any big moves of sorts. Smitty will be back and join me then. But your opinion, free agent market out there, anybody in particular come to mind for you, Coop? I won't say any names because I don't want to spoil for my segments coming up later in the show, but anyone come to mind specifically?
I take a look at the quarterback position. Do you think the Seahawks would be better served going into free agency and trying to get a quarterback to compete with Geno? Or do you think they go the draft route with that? They need a quarterback one way or another.
Yeah, I lean towards the draft route. Go young.
You obviously need a safety now. Maybe two.
Help. Yeah. You do have Julian Love coming off a Pro Bowl appearance.
No doubt.
But you could use some more beyond that. Who are some names that come to mind? Mikey says bring back Ryan Neal. We're going to talk about Ryan Neal actually later in the show. Tasty1 TV says Kirk Cousins.
You can't do that because you're already bringing Geno back, and Cousins is going to get $35 million.
Life says Xavier McKinney. We're also going to talk about him coming up later in the show. Jaden says I would draft. Who are some names? Who would you like to see? Michael says where's Smitty? Smitty is over on Eagles right now. He'll be back next week. Had a little swisheroo today. Brady says Geno Stone. He's another guy we're going to talk about here in a bit. I see Nils says Geno Stone as well. Adam says Patrick Queen and Bobby Wagner sign a rookie quarterback like Joe Milton. Jaden says let Kobe Bryant play more at safety. All right, so here's what I want to do next. So when you guys are here with us each and every week, we spam S in the chat for Seahawks. We try to get as many S's as we can in 1 minute, and whoever gets the most S's is the early favorite to be MVP.
Oh, my.
Usually, it's Smitty that's shouting out all the S's, but since Coop's here, it's up to Coop to do this. So, Coop, I'm going to put a minute on the clock, and let's just see how many S's we can get. It's up to you to shout out every single one we possibly can over this next
All
minute.
right.
So let's get this chat popping. The more we get the chat rolling, the more that this feed will go to more people so they can join us.
3, 2,
here
1.
we go.
Spam those S's, baby. Let's go. Spam those S's.
Clock is running.
Oh, I see Pac-Man. He's number 1. There goes Pac-Man again. He's getting in there. Drew Lock. I see Mr. Rod, Darren Weller, Tasty TV, Legend Zero, Mills, Space, Darren again, Tasty, Nils, Pac-Man, Cameron. Oh, it's going too fast. I can't even read them. Clayton, Devin, Sean. This could be Jamal Adams or Deepak. Sam, Clayton, Jaden, Plaque Money.
30 seconds in, halfway home.
Darren Waller again, Jaden, Sean, Darren. Oh, I literally can't read this. This is too fast. You guys are awesome. This could be Jamal Adams, Banana, Clayton, Sam Garcia, Archie.
10 seconds left.
Is that Madoff? Bernie's in here?
Bernie?
How are you? Elijah, Alicia, Markeith, Brady, Sean,
5
Jaden,
seconds.
Tasty, Life, Darvin, Chicago, sports fan.
Nice work.
I don't know if I got all you guys because you guys were going fast as hell.
Great job, chat. Bernie Madoff, there's a guy.
I don't know if it was actually Bernie or not. That's just what I read.
What Bernie Madoff still in prison?
Bernie Madoff, I believe.
I know he screwed over the New York Mets.
He did majorly. I believe he is incarcerated. Let's double check on that.
Folks, were any of you scammed by Bernie Madoff? Let us know in the chat. Bernie Madoff, what a guy. Big Hawk, I see your comment.
He died.
He died?
3 years ago.
Bernie Madoff died? That dude's definitely in hell.
82. He died in prison.
After all the people he ripped off, he's definitely in hell. He's not in heaven, I can tell you that much. All dogs may go to heaven, but not that dog.
That was a good one.
If you're ready for today's show to start, like the video. If you agree with me that Bernie Madoff is in hell, like the video.
As famous Tyler Jones would say, go to hell.
Go to hell. Yes. Well, Bernie Madoff's already there.
He's already there. You don't have to worry about that.
Add the $10 to that super chat.
Oh, yep. Got it.
When we get to 50 likes, we will get this show started. We're at 27 right now. And I'll crack open a cold Coors Light. The mountains are blue as well.
Coors?
When we get to 50 likes.
Little Coors latte?
Coors Latte, yes. Mountains are blue. 32 likes right now. 18 away. I'm not even asking for half the audience to like the video.
We just need 50.
Just need to get to 50, and we can get this show started. So, folks, do your part. That should be an equal sign on 10.
Oh, yep.
40. All right, 10 away. 10 away from 50. Space says, I'll take a can of beer. Got it right here. Ryan is quick to tell us that Bernie Madoff is dead. I learned something new today. Honestly, I had no idea Bernie Madoff
Me neither.
was dead.
If you would have asked me right now, I would have said he's in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
We learn something new every day. The world's a better place.
The world is a better place with Bernie Madoff dead. I should have known that this show, when Coop was going to be here, that
oh, yeah.
It would go this
We'll
direction.
get into it, baby.
Coop, you looking forward to the State of the Union tomorrow night?
I will be at the Dallas Mavericks versus Miami Heat basketball game.
Okay, so you'll watch it later.
I will not be observing tomorrow night's State of the Union address.
Are you guys excited about the State of the Union? Why for yes, in for no? Super chat menu. Here we go, folks. We raised 50 likes so we can get the show started. Here's what we're offering today. First time super chatters, you get the Seahawks chant. Seahawks. $5 super chat, we will do the old McDonald's song. $10 super chat, you get a raffle ticket as we have some Seahawk knives that we are giving away this month. Yes.
You heard that right.
You heard that right. We might just cut you with a Seahawk knife.
Whoa. No violence will be happening on Seahawks Today by Chat Sports.
The majority of the chat not watching the State of the Union address tomorrow. Cappy says, hell no.
I love it.
Amit says no. Pac-Man says no. Are you watching the State of the Union tomorrow? Y for yes and for no. Everybody's
Ridiculous.
saying no. $20 super chat you get on our Seahawks Today Football Hall of Fame. $50 super chat. We'll do a beer bong. Here it is in all its glory right here. Amit says gas prices is killing us. I mean, prices for everything killing us. Inflation sucks, man. Inflation's out of control.
I do not like inflation.
Like, I don't ask for much. I just want cheap gas and cheap Chipotle.
Chipotle's $15 now.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Joe, do something about that, man. Help us out. Mr. Rod and Mark Kelly are going to watch the State of the Union tomorrow.
Tie Man will not.
Big Hawk will. Mr. Rod is a fan. Okay. So that's the Super Chat menu. Also, what we're offering today, our deal of the day.
Oh, yes.
For $10, not only do you get a raffle ticket to win a set of Seahawk-themed knives this month, but you will get an NFL Draft player profile comp for today and today only. Me and Coop will discuss, and we will come up with a comp for you.
I love it.
For a $10 super chat. Coop, we can get very creative with this.
Oh, this could be off the rails, like we already are.
Yes. So, Ty Man the Buckeye, now we know his allegiance.
All right, Ty Man.
We'll pass that along to Matthew Peterson. Let him know. Phobia, I see your comment too. Yeah. So, $10 super chat. I'm just so distracted.
We're off the rails.
The chat is off the rails right now. For a $10 super chat, you get entered to win the knives and you get an NFL Draft player comp. Coop, I'll let you start. What would be your player comp for me? And I'll give you one for you,
Okay. Too. Are we talking this year's draft?
Anybody.
Anybody. Okay. I'm going to give you... How about a Tyron Smith?
Tyron, I'll take it. Good football player.
Good football player.
Gritty.
Leader.
Yeah.
I like that.
Tyron Smith from the Dallas Cowboys is my comp, according to Coop. My comp for Coop, I am, let's see, what direction I want to go. I feel like I got to go with somebody that makes some noise, that.
What are you trying to say?
Somebody that can't be ignored of sorts.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a pass rusher. I'll go Brian Burns.
I love
Coop.
that.
Coop,
I'm
Brian
on the franchise
Burns.
tag?
He did get the franchise tag. Coop would get the franchise tag. We can't lose Coop here at Chat Sports.
I would sign a 5-year max.
5-year max for Coop. That's his player comp. If you want your player comp, send in a $10 super chat. We'll give it to you. Here is what's on today's show. News and rumors coming up next. And then later on, we'll talk free agent targets.
Look what you have done to this chat.
This chat is off the rails. Yeah. Well, it got the chat popping, though.
It did.
It worked.
Yes, it did.
We'll talk Adams and Diggs replacements, then we'll do a live Q&A as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Segment 1, news and rumors. Let me get a quick drink of water, then I'll be ready to go.
Got to get hydrated.
Yes. Clear my throat. All right.
Goodbye, Tasman.
Tasman. Oh, wait. Before we start, super chat coming in from Dan the Man. Timeout. Here we go. Dan the Man with a $20 super chat. Bang!
Let's go, Dan.
What is the chance Seattle gets Penix? I'd say it's not a bad chance, actually. I don't know if they pick him at 16. But
That's a little too early for him.
I could see them trading down or trading back up in order to get him.
Do you trade up back to 32 or 30?
Right.
Yeah, something like that.
Something
I can see that. The Seattle connection's obviously there.
Right. He's openly said he'd be willing to sit behind Geno.
Ryan Grubb is with the Seahawks now, correct?
Right. He knows the system.
There.
Yeah. Dan the Man, your player comp with that. We'll put your name on the football, obviously. That's a wolf, by the way, in his avatar. I learned
love
that last week. Dan the Man, your player comp. I mean, you're such a big time player. You know how to perform. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf.
I love it.
Dan the Man, you are DK. Touchdowns all day.
He rules.
He rules. Dan the Man. Everybody spam Dan. Spam Dan for that $20 super chat. And we'll go ahead and get started with today's show. Here we go.
All right. Ready to rock?
Yeah, let's get going. Here we go.
Here we go.
Coming up on today's show, we are talking about the possibility of Mac Jones joining the Seattle Seahawks. I know it sounds crazy, but bear with us. We'll explain more here in just a bit. Also, could the Seahawks be in the market for a corner? We got one name to watch from the Cincinnati Bengals who ESPN is recommending in just a matter of moments. Before we get to that, though, quick survey from the 12s out there. If you're a Seahawks fan from the great city of Seattle, like today's video. If you're a fan of the Seahawks from anywhere else around this great country, around this great world, comment and tell us where you're from. Just want to get a gauge of where our audience is at. Let us know and we'll get started with today's show. Could the Seahawks be jonesing around for Mac Jones? The New England Patriots quarterback will eventually be on the move this offseason, but where to? That remains to be seen. But according to a new report from the Boston Sports Journal, they are saying that the Seattle Seahawks are the team to watch to add the New England Patriots quarterback. So before you go after me and say, why are you guys making up rumors and all this? We're not making up anything. This is coming from New England's camp that is connecting Seattle here. Let's tell you what they're saying about this possibility. One thing that I've picked up in the last couple of weeks is that one team to keep an eye on for Mac Jones is the Seattle Seahawks. I think John Schneider is a guy who looks back at his college evaluations of players. I think he liked Mac Jones coming out. I think a lot of people are wondering what exactly happened to him here, and they're probably doing their due diligence on with the Patriots on that. Now, honestly, I don't hate this idea, but let's make one thing clear. If the Seahawks are going to go the route of going to get Mac Jones, they're not benching Geno Smith for Mac Jones here. If you're bringing in Mac Jones, he replaces Drew Lock and becomes your number 2 quarterback. Now, maybe down the road there's a chance for him to start and compete for a starting job, but the idea of bringing him in at this very moment in time is to be a quality backup quarterback, get him a second chance outside New England, and then go from there. Mac Jones had a very good rookie season, showed some promise. The former national champion quarterback out of Alabama went to a Pro Bowl his rookie year, was on the all-rookie team, but things fell apart fast for Mac Jones as he was set up to fail. I mean, folks, they made Matt Patricia their offensive coordinator there. Who thought that was going to work? The offensive line was disgusting. The receiving core, the running backs, it was a joke. I mean, let's face it. Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, all of them would have been awful in this Patriots offense with what Mac Jones was given to set up with. So, with that said, I don't expect Mac's trade value to be that high. I think the Seahawks could potentially get this done with a 6th-round pick at number 194 and get Mac to be the backup quarterback and sit behind Geno Smith and potentially go from there. And then the question becomes, okay, what does the long-term prospects look like? If you bring Mac in, are you giving him a chance eventually to be that guy? Where does he fit in? More from the Boston Sports Journal. Geno Smith is not their franchise quarterback for multiple years. So why not take a chance, a flyer on Mac Jones, to get him evaluated? Now, while Geno may not be a franchise quarterback, neither is Mac Jones. Even though I sit here and give him the benefit of the doubt that he was set up to fail in New England, and that it's not all his fault that he struggled. I have seen enough on tape to say Mac Jones isn't a franchise quarterback, though. Those two things are true. What I would look at from the Seahawks' vantage point is would be similar to what the Cowboys did with the Trey Lance trade last year, where the Cowboys did not give up a whole lot to get Trey Lance from the San Francisco 49ers. But when the Cowboys made that trade, it was understood. He's not coming in here to take Dak's job. In fact, he didn't even take Cooper Rush's job. He was the number 3 quarterback all season in Dallas last year. If you make this deal, you're saying, look, this is a former first-round quarterback that's got talent, didn't work out, but we're willing to give him a shot here to see what he has to offer, but we're not benching Geno to do it. I think that's what you need to think of if the Seahawks were to go this route and do this trade. So let's ask you now, should the Seahawks trade for Mac Jones? Our pinned comment today. T for trade, P for pass. Let us know what you think the Seahawks should make the deal or not. Got a great deal we're offering Seahawk fans right now. Seahawk hats are on sale for up to 50% off, plus free shipping for a limited time. Get yours today, chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. These hats are looking snazzy, folks, and they'll look even better on you. I can promise you that much. Here's a few of the hat selections that we have to choose from with the current logo, the throwback logo, among other things. There's plenty more to choose from as well. Go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Free shipping, 50% off on certain hats as well. Check it out today. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. ESPN is recommending that the Seattle Seahawks go the corner market and sign Bengals corner Chidobe Awuzie, who is known by the nickname Cheeto. We're just going to call him Cheeto for short around here. But you look at the Seahawks corner situation here. Does it make sense to bring a veteran like Cheeto here when you already have Devin Witherspoon and Rick Woolen and Trey Brown and other guys? Here's more from ESPN. I weighed suggesting another pass rusher for the Seahawks here, or perhaps an interior offensive lineman, but let's go with a starting cornerback who can play opposite of Rick Woolen while Devin Witherspoon locks down the slot or blitzes the quarterback. Awuzie had good coverage, DVOA, last season, and was one of the best corners in the league for the first half of 2022 before tearing an ACL. He's strong in both man and zone coverage. Cheeto isn't a bad option, I think, for Seattle. And you talk about the creativity here for a second. This would allow the Seahawks to remain flexible with what they do with Devin Witherspoon. I think the Seahawks are at their best with Witherspoon when they can move him around, whether it's on the outside or in the slot, whatever it may be, to have that flexibility to put Witherspoon in the best positions to succeed instead of tying up to one spot. You bring a guy like Cheeto in, all of a sudden, now I have the flexibility to move things around a bit. Joined the Bengals in 2021 after previously playing for the Dallas Cowboys. And although the numbers aren't necessarily flashy on Cheeto, what you can look at is he has been dependable. Even with the ACL injury, this is somebody that still played a total of 86 games with 74 starts in his career. A decent football player. We're going to show you some numbers and also what a potential contract would look like. But let's ask you guys, should the Seahawks sign Cheeto? What do you think? Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know what you think. All offseason long, we are covering your Seattle Seahawks like no one else is here on Seahawks Today. Bring you daily news and rumors. We're talking free agency, trades, the draft, and more. And all next week here on Seahawks Today, it is going to be wild when we're talking free agency. If the Seahawks make any big moves, you know that we're going to go live here on the channel. We're going to break it down in real time. We're going to bring you content as quick as we can. Sub right now. Join the family. Lock us in for the latest happenings in your favorite team. Nobody's covering the Seattle Seahawks like we are here on the channel. Subscribe now. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. The numbers on Cheeto. You can see it's been a couple seasons since he had an interception, but you go back to 2021, and that's what really stands out. 2 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, 4 tackles for loss. His numbers, according to PFF last year, he was solid across the board with the defensive grade at 62.6, run defense grade is 68, tackling grade 72.1, and a coverage grade of 62.3. The contract projection, the Seahawks just freed up $47 million in money now, is what they have in cap space after the cuts that they made on Tuesday. And it's an affordable situation. You could sign Cheeto here for about 2 years and $23 million is the deal that he essentially is going to be worth on the open market. That is reasonable. You can do that if you're John Schneider and the Seahawks. And think about this. Change is coming at the corner position, okay? We are going to see this Seahawks corner room look significantly different in 2024. Right now, you have 6 corners under contract at the moment with Trey Brown, Lance Boykin, Reek Woolen, Andrew Whitaker, Devin Witherspoon, and Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is probably going to play safety next year, I would guess more than likely. So you got to bring in some more bodies. Obviously, the draft is going to be a possibility, but look out. We'll see some changes here pretty soon. Cheeto could fit right into what the Seahawks are trying to do. Who's the player the Seahawks should sign in free agency, whether it's Cheeto here or somebody else? Drop a name in the comments section and let us know a player you'd like to see in Seattle. If you enjoyed today's show, which I don't know how you couldn't enjoy today's show, like the video. We certainly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. All right. One segment down. 3 more to go on today's show as Cooper rejoins me right now.
Yes.
Should the Seahawks trade for Mac Jones? Our poll question today, 83% of you say no, 17% say yes. Now that we've gone through the circumstance of you're not replacing Geno Smith,
correct,
you're getting a backup here. We've seen the details. How do you feel now about this idea, Coop?
I still wouldn't do it because I think if you were to trade for Mac Jones, you'd probably have to pick up his 5th-year option, right? And, I mean, you wouldn't have to, but it would make more sense to if you trade for him. And that's pretty expensive, so I don't think I would do it still. I'd probably draft a quarterback in the 4th round, let's say, and make him the understudy to Geno this year.
Should the Seahawks trade for Mac Jones? T for trade, P for pass.
We also, in the
majority saying pass.
During the segment, we got a $20 super chat from our guy Dan.
Dan the man, back again. Guess who's back?
Back again.
Dan the man.
Dan is back. Tell a friend.
With the offense and defensive coordinator changes, do you think the offense or defense will be better? I think both sides of the ball are going to be better, but I'm specifically interested in what the offense is going to look like with Ryan Grubb bringing this air raid scheme from Washington in place, a scheme that should be better suited for Geno Smith. You're still going to run the football as well with your running backs, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. The thing I look at, Coop, is that I would argue that this Seahawks offense was held back from their full potential. DK, Lockett, JSN, Geno, the running backs and all that. Now you get a more offensive-friendly system for these guys to excel.
Yeah.
I would think that the entire offense just as a whole should take a big step forward. That's what I'm intrigued to see, what Ryan Grubb does to get the most out of these.
Absolutely, yeah. The offense should take a step forward. Obviously, Grubb did a fantastic job over there with the Huskies, and he got them to the national championship. Obvious differences between the college and the NFL game, but the offenses are becoming more similar by the second, and I think he can do a really great job for the Seahawks offense. Although, I'll say this, when I think Seahawks, I think defense, and I still think they're going to have a damn good defense this coming season.
Yeah, I think the defense will be much improved from what it was last year. Dan, with that 20, he is putting himself in a great shape.
Let's go, Dan.
He's got his name on the football twice coming up here. I'll add him to the list.
Should we give him another comp?
Yeah, let's give him another comp, another draft comp. Let's go with somebody in this draft.
In this draft, okay. In this draft, I'm going to stick with the offensive line here. I'm going to go with Jackson Powers Johnson.
From Oregon?
Yes.
He says he wants to stay in the Pacific Northwest, loves the rain.
What better place than Seattle? JPJ is a guy that can kind of do it all on the offensive line. He's big, he's physical, He's cerebral. That's what I see you, Dan Miller. That's what I see you as.
Dan the Man Miller. The comp I'm going to give you, I'm going to stick receiver. I'm going to go with Rome Odunze.
Can't go wrong there.
A do-it-all guy that shows up in big moments, that makes some big-time plays. Dan the Man Miller shows up in big-time moments.
I watched almost every single Washington Huskies game last year.
Me too.
Rome Odunze, every single time the Huskies needed a big play, Rome Odunze made it. Every single time.
Just like Dan Miller on
Exactly.
Seahawks Today.
Every time we need it, Dan Miller makes the play.
100%. Dan Miller, thanks for the $20 Super Chat, my friend. Much appreciated. And let's go back to Super Chat minute. If you want to be like Dan Miller and get your own draft comp, you can with a $10 Super Chat. Also get you a raffle ticket for our Seahawks steak knives that we'll be giving away this month. Also, $20 Super Chat gets your name on the Seahawks Today Football Hall of Fame. $50 Super Chat will do a beer bong. $5 Super Chat will do the old McDonald's song. And a first-time Super Chat gets you the Seahawks chant. Up next, let's talk free agent targets for Seattle as, Coop, business is booming.
Booming.
We will.
Who said that? Who made that quote famous?
Business is booming was who was that? Why is it escaping me?
Think a guy that has
Wasn't it Rick Ross?
not quite a guy that is living with CTE.
Oh, Antonio Brown.
Yes.
But
There you
didn't
go.
he get it from a Rick Ross song?
Maybe. I just know it from AB.
Okay.
That's all
yes.
I know it from. He might have gotten it from Rick Ross.
I think that's what it was. It was Rick Ross, but Antonio Brown adopted
Got it.
for his
Okay.
own. Yes.
How's business?
House business. Booming. Business is booming. All right, let's break down the top Seahawks free agent targets after clearing cap space.
Some good names on this list.
Some very good names, if I'd say so myself. Without further ado, business booming. Let's get to it here on Seahawks Today. Here we go. Business is booming. We're breaking down the top Seahawks free agent targets after clearing a lot of cap space over the last couple days, with Seattle moving on from Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams and Will Dissly. All of a sudden, the Seahawks have some money to work with, and the cap went up significantly, way higher than it was expected to be about a week or so ago. We'll go over some potential free agent targets for the Seahawks with free agency beginning next week, coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, I want to know, who's your favorite Seahawks free agent signing of all time? No wrong answers here. Just tell me who your favorite is. Who comes to mind when you think about your favorite Seahawks that they've brought in free agency? Way in the comment section. Let us know what you think. We'll get started with today's show. With that business booming, cap space for the Seahawks is currently at $47 million right now. Now, obviously, a lot of that money is going to go away when the Seahawks end up signing their draft picks, and you want to keep some money around for potentially re-signing guys like Leonard Williams, potentially. On today's show, though, I want to look at free agents outside the organization. Not guys that you're re-signing, but new players the Seahawks could specifically be looking at to bring in. Let's get started with the defensive tackle position. We find Christian Wilkins from the Miami Dolphins. I'll be honest, I was shocked that Wilkins did not get the franchise tag from Miami, that he is available for any team to sign like the Seattle Seahawks. And it's no secret, the Seahawks need all the help they can get when it comes to the defensive line and trying to find run stoppers. And when I look at Christian Wilkins, he's exactly what the Seahawks need in a two-way player that can dominate as both a run stopper and a pass rusher. The resume on Wilkins, this is somebody that I think has been underappreciated, undervalued across the National Football League, as he's coming off the best season of his career, 9 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries in 2023. He's been consistently available. He hasn't missed a single start in the last 3 seasons, the former first-round pick out of Clemson. And the numbers, we mentioned him having a career high in sacks this past year at 9, but you look at what he's done over the years, 98 tackles in 2022, 89 in 2021, just unbelievable for his position. Christian Wilkins is that guy, and he'd be great for what the Seahawks team needs defensively right now under Mike Macdonald. What do you guys think? Our pin comment today, should the Seahawks sign Christian Wilkins? S for sign, P for pass. Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Next on the list is Patrick Queen, a linebacker from the Baltimore Ravens. It remains to be seen if the Seahawks are going to keep Jordan Brooks or Bobby Wagner. But if they decide to go a different direction, Patrick Queen would be one of the first phone calls, as he played under Mike Macdonald in Baltimore, and he excelled in Macdonald's defense. And you look at what he's done the last 2 seasons, specifically this past year when he was an all-pro caliber player. He's just now entering the prime of his career. This past season had a career high 133 tackles. He's been consistently available as well, has not missed a game since 2020. The concern I have of sorts with Patrick Queen, where I would be hesitant to pay him compared to some of the other guys out there, is that his career really started to take off not just when Mike Macdonald showed up, but also when Roquan Smith showed up in Baltimore. And what I wonder is with Patrick Queen, the next place that he potentially goes, is he still going to be able to play at a high level without having Roquan Smith to his side here? You can see the numbers very solid the last 2 seasons of what he's been able to do, but how much of that was getting to play alongside Roquan Smith, that remains to be seen. That is my concern of potentially throwing him a ton of money out there with not having his partner in crime, Roquan Smith, arguably the best linebacker in football, next to him. So, what do you guys think? Should the Seahawks sign Patrick Queen? Y for yes, N for no. Why in the comments section, tell us what you think the Seahawks should bring him in or not. Let's stay on defense, and this is where we find Danielle Hunter from the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings opted not to franchise tag Danielle Hunter, making him a free agent, and Hunter is coming off arguably the best season of his entire NFL career this past year. And you look at this Seahawks pass rush, there was a lot of peaks and valleys throughout 2023. There were times this pass rush was outstanding and times where it was MIA, just nowhere to be found. They need a spark, and Danielle Hunter could be just that. And there isn't a better option out there when you're talking about pass rushers available for Seattle than Danielle Hunter. A 4-time Pro Bowler as recently as this year, had a career high of 16.5 sacks and 4 forced fumbles this past year for the former third-round pick out of LSU. And one thing about Danielle Hunter that I like, the story, the resilience. 2020, Danielle Hunter suffered a neck injury that could have very well ended his career. He could have not played another down of football after that. Instead, he came back in 2021, played in 7 games and had 6 sacks. And his numbers have only improved ever since. So this is a guy that has never given up, that's shown that resilience, that ability to be a top-notch football player in the National Football League, to fight through adversity. To me, it's an inspiring story. And he's got the heart of a Seahawk, I can tell you that right now. Next on the list, another name familiar to Mike Macdonald is Geno Stone of the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens not expected to bring Geno Stone back. The Seahawks now have a glaring need at the safety spot after moving on from Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams this week. You look at Geno Stone, and it kind of reminds me of what our former president once said: the forgotten men will be forgotten no longer. And that's the case with Geno Stone. He was kind of pushed to the side in Baltimore, was kind of forgotten about, despite how well of a season he had this past year. 7 interceptions, a career high that was second in the National Football League. But yet, all the talk was about Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams and these other guys. And Geno Stone never really got the full opportunity to flourish and play to his full talent level and potential. Think about this. As a backup, this guy had 7 interceptions last year in Mike Macdonald's system. Imagine if he comes to Seattle in a starting role where he is a everyday starter at the safety spot. What could he potentially do? Okay, I think you're looking at him going to a whole nother level, given that opportunity to compete and play on the big stage, and knowing this system in place, being able to teach the other guys there in Baltimore how this works. There was the Seattle defense. I think it's a natural fit for what the Seahawks need, what they're looking for, and a dynamic player for not a relatively high cost either. We got another name to get to before we wrap up, but want to hear from you guys first. Who's a player the Seahawks should sign in free agency? We've gone over a few. Obviously, there's plenty more out there as well. Whether it's somebody we've talked about today or somebody else, weigh in the comment section and let us know who you'd like to see in Seattle. Last on our list is New England Patriots offensive tackle Trent Brown. The Seahawks have tried, not once, but at least twice, to bring in Trent Brown previously, but to no avail. Now they have a chance again to get what they want and get Trent Brown. And the way that I would do this, if I'm John Schneider and Mike McDonald and Ryan Grubb as well, I'm concerned about Abraham Lucas's knee holding up. To me, last year was a big red flag when it came to his knee and the back and forth of him trying to get healthy and all that. It was a real problem. I think the Seahawks are best off moving Abraham Lucas to guard, a position he played a little bit in college, bringing in Trent Brown to go play the right tackle spot, put Charles Cross at the left tackle spot, and all of a sudden you got a pretty dang good offensive line here that you can work with. Trent Brown was solid last year. Overall grade of 80, according to the nerds at Pro Football Focus. Allowed 3 sacks, only 2 penalties on the year. This would be great for Seattle and would be a game changer for the run game, for giving Geno a few extra seconds in the pass game. I think bringing in a guy like Trent Brown makes a ton of sense. So to recap our free agent targets with all this money we just found of $47 million, and there will be more money coming. I can promise you that much with more cuts here in the coming days ahead. The list includes Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle for the Miami Dolphins. Patrick Queen, linebacker from the Baltimore Ravens. Danielle Hunter, edge rusher from the Minnesota Vikings. Geno Stone, safety from the Baltimore Ravens. And Trent Brown, offensive tackle from the New England Patriots. We've gone through 5 different positions here on today's show. What's the biggest need this offseason for Seattle? Weigh in the comments section. Tell us what you think, and we'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right, we are halfway home.
2 down, 2 to go.
Should the Seahawks sign Christian Wilkins? Coop, what do you think, Christian Wilkins? That'd be fun.
That would move mountains. Christian Wilkins and Leonard Williams next to each other, I like.
Yeah. I'm surprised Miami didn't bring him back.
Yeah, that was one of the bigger surprises, I think. I'm shocked they didn't at least franchise tag him. He's going to go to free agency, and he's going to get a lot of money for sure. I like Christian Wilkins, the player, a lot, and I think he would fit exactly what Seattle's trying to do. I really do.
Right. And then the Seahawks, they also, I forgot to mention, they cut Brian Mone earlier today too. So, yeah, there's more money freeing up for Seattle to potentially make some moves here. Should the Seahawks sign Christian Wilkins? S for sign, P for pass. Mr. Rod says sign. FL Hawks says sign. Tom and Trina say sign. Gavin says sign. So the consensus is sign a guy like Christian Wilkins is what the chat's saying right now. Back to the Super Chat menu here before we begin our next segment. We're going to talk about potential replacements for Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. I got some safety targets we'll discuss here in just a bit, but if you want on today's show, if you want some screen time, here's how you can get involved. First time Super Chatter, we'll do the Seahawks chant. $5 Super Chat, we'll sing the old McDonald's song. $10 Super Chat gets you a raffle ticket for a set of Seahawks-themed knives we're giving away at the end of the month, so you can stab somebody. I'm kidding. $20 Super Chat.
No violence on Seahawks today.
Yes, we're not promoting violence. Especially, like, you know, that's not our thing. Like, San Francisco's known for violence, you know. Like, we don't promote that here in Seattle. $20 super chat gets you on the Seahawks Today Football Hall of Fame. $50 super chat will do a beer bong. And also our deal of the day with the $10 super chat, you will get an NFL draft player comp with a $10 super chat as well as an entry for the knives.
We've already given out a couple of player comps.
We have.
I would say myself and Tyler Jones are self-proclaimed scouting experts. So we can give you a pretty good comp of who you are.
Yes. And we could call you by your name going forward. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Dan the Man, we could just call him DK Metcalf now.
I'm in on that.
So, I will take a quick swig of my Coors Light, which is as cold as the mountains.
I'll take a quick swig of my tequila, a.k.a. water.
Yes. And then we'll get started with our next segment. Checking out the poll results. Resounding no on Mac Jones. 84% of you saying no. 16% saying yes. I thought I was convincing of what I wanted Mac Jones for. I'm not wanting him to replace Geno.
Exactly. He would come in as a backup, and then if the Geno thing goes awry, you would give Mac Jones a chance to win the job.
Right.
That's what it is. You're not giving up more than a 6th-round pick for him.
You seen the Doritos controversy this week?
I have not.
I just saw a funny meme. This will give you an idea. It's from the Babylon Bee. Doritos announces new spokesman Jared from Subway.
Stop. Are you serious?
No.
Okay, I was like, that can't be right.
But when you read about their controversy, then you're like, yeah, Jared would be their spokesman.
Oh, it's something along those lines?
Yeah, we're not eating Doritos anymore. Doritos are canceled.
Wait, we're shadow banning Doritos?
Oh, Doritos are canceled. Yeah. Just like Bud Light. Yeah.
No more Doritos.
More.
Why is Bud Light canceled? I thought they were back.
No.
Okay.
Bud Light's not back till they apologize.
Okay, fair enough.
I know that some people are back to drinking Bud Light again, but I need an apology from Bud Light before I drink a Bud Light again.
Hopefully they will come out and give a State of the Union and apologize.
I'm not getting my hopes up on that. All right. With that said, let's talk replacements for Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. Yeah. Here on this edition of Seahawks Today, presented by Manscaped. Without further ado, let's get started. You're watching Seahawks Today. We are presented by Manscaped. You can get 20% off plus free shipping. We'll tell you more about Manscaped's fantastic products coming up later on in today's show. On this edition of Seahawks Today, we are looking at potential replacement options for Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs at the safety position. Seahawks released both of their starting safeties on Tuesday, and now what could they potentially do at that safety position going forward? We have some names that are available in free agency that we'll focus on here on today's show. Got a full list we'll get to in just a bit. Before we do, we're getting so close to 50.5 thousand subscribers on the channel. We're just over 20 away from reaching that next milestone. If you love the Seattle Seahawks, if you want daily news and rumors, want to be a part of our live shows, our free agency coverage, trade rumors, all of that, this is the place to be. Help us reach that next milestone. Subscribe now for the latest happenings on your favorite team all off-season long right here on Seattle Seahawks Today. Let's begin with a familiar name to Seahawk fans, Ryan Neal, who spent this past season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is available in free agency. And I got to say, letting go of Ryan Neal last year was a mistake. He was not going to cost you a whole lot, but once the Seahawks ended up signing Julian Love, they moved on from Ryan Neal, let him go off to Tampa Bay. And I thought there was a world where Ryan Neal still could have coexisted with Julian Love and been a part of this Seahawks team. I know that bringing him back now wouldn't put him in the same system he was in before, as the Seahawks are going a new direction defensively with Mike McDonald here. But hear me out on this. Ryan Neal, there's some great value here. He was the highest-rated safety in the entire NFL in 2022. He's played in 58 games with 32 starts since 2020. The numbers on him the past 4 years, you could see that he excelled in this Seahawks defense. 2020 had 2 picks, 5 pass breakups. Last year had 8 pass breakups and 1 interception in 66 tackles. Ryan Neal's a good football player, and you get him back to Seattle, somewhere that he's comfortable, somewhere that he knows. I think he could be a good fit and not cost you a ton back with the Seattle Seahawks team. Another name that Seahawks fans should be familiar with is Geno Stone from the Baltimore Ravens. Geno Stone played under Mike McDonald in Baltimore and had a fantastic season this past year. 7 interceptions. That was the second most of any player in the National Football League. Stone's a really good player, a turnover machine. He's thrived in this system. You know, if you bring him in, there's going to be other guys that have to learn how this defense operates, right? Geno Stone would be ready to go from day one, from the jump, with this Seahawks defense. And he was kind of limited in the role that he had in Baltimore, as he wasn't a starter in that Baltimore defense. You give him a starting role in Seattle here, I think Geno Stone still has another step forward he can make of being that guy and being a difference maker. And kind of like Ryan Neal, I don't think he's going to cost a ton of money either, quite frankly. The numbers last year for him, coverage-wise, he allowed just 188 yards, QB rating of 50.8, solid numbers there. Geno Stone could be a very good fit for what Seattle wants to do. Between these two, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have Ryan Neal or Geno Stone? They're both going to be relatively cheap. Which one would you like to sign? Type R for Ryan Neal, type G for Geno Stone. Weigh in the comment section and let us know what you think. Next on the list, this one's going to be a little more pricey. This is where we find Xavier McKinney from the New York Football Giants. I am surprised that the Giants don't have a new deal in place to keep Xavier McKinney around, because this is somebody that is a disruptor. And he's got positional flexibility. He can do multiple things well. He wouldn't be cheap, but he is a difference maker. And you look at what he can do. I mean, this is somebody with experience at free safety. He can also play the slot. He can be in the box. And last year, you talk about numbers, raw statistics for you, did not allow a single touchdown and ranked third among safeties in coverage, just a 52.1 passer rating allowed. Xavier McKinney was all that in a bag of chips. And last year, you look at his statistics, 116 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 11 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. Xavier McKinney's just really starting to come into his own. And more of those coverage statistics we mentioned, not giving up a touchdown, 11 pass breakups as well, 288 yards allowed, quarterback rating of 53. Xavier McKinney's a fine football player. I like Xavier McKinney. I think he could be a good fit. More names to get to in a moment. But first, I want to tell you about today's sponsor. We're presented by Manscaped. Top of the morning to you. This episode is brought to you by the St. Patrick's Day Shamrock Shavers. Manscaped, this year, don't just chase rainbows. Make your own pot of gold and groom your little leprechaun with the leaders in below-the-kit care. Say goodbye to your clover forest with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0. And let your confidence shine bright. Embrace the luck of the Irish and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Head to manscaped.com and use code Seahawks for 20% off plus free shipping. Meet your new lucky charm for St. Patrick's Day, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This trimmer comes with 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, one for a classic trim and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. Trimming the hedges in your Irish garden isn't just for below the belt. Complete your look with Manscaped's signature Beard Hedger Pro Kit, plus Handyman Electric Face Shaver. Now, I keep my face pretty clean myself, but you better believe if I had a beard I was trying to shave, I'd be using Manscaped too for that. Whether you're sculpting your beard or cleaning up your neckline, these are always the right tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code Seahawks at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code Seahawks at manscaped.com. This St. Patrick's Day, make sure your little hairy leprechaun is luckier than ever with Manscaped. Check out Manscaped today. Tell them Tyler Jones sent you. Your face and your balls will thank you later. All right, next on the list is Cameron Curl from the Washington Commanders. And here's somebody that is an excellent tackler in run support. And it's no secret that the Seattle Seahawks need all the help they can get when it comes to finding help in that department, in the run support. Cameron Curl would make a ton of sense. And he could play multiple positions. This is somebody that has succeeded at both playing safety and corner. The one problem, although he's good when it comes to run defense, his coverage hasn't been that great. He hasn't registered an interception in 3 seasons, folks. It has been a while since he last did that. His numbers this past year included 5 pass breakups, 115 tackles, and 3 tackles for loss. But when he's on, he was on. You go back to 2020, he had 3 interceptions, 88 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 4 pass breakups. His coverage numbers this past season, a 69 nice completion percentage, allowed 3 touchdowns and 5 pass breakups. QB rating kind of high, 110.2 there. More names to get to on our list. Let's find Julian Blackmon of the Indianapolis Colts. Julian Blackmon, one of the best young free safeties that the game of American tackle football has to offer. And I know that there was the injury that he suffered, but he should be healthy by the time free agency rolls around next week, where his prior injuries shouldn't be a concern. 29 games played with 26 starts in the last 2 seasons, coming off a career high of 88 tackles, had a team high of 8 passes defended, also had 4 interceptions last year as well. Julian Blackmon is a guy that is really just starting to take off and come into his own after the season that he had last year. You got to think that he would be a natural fit for what the Seattle Seahawks are trying to do there. Coverage stats on him, quarterback rating, did a really good job of holding that down to 55.8, along with 8 pass breakups and the 4 picks. Julian Blackmon, solid football player. Now, the best of the rest we will get to in just a moment, but first, who is the safety that Seattle should sign? We've gone over several names. We still have a few more to go, but who would you like to see? Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think is a safety that the Seahawks should bring in. All right, we're going to go rapid fire on these final 3 here. These ones are less likely to happen, but nonetheless, they made the list. Jordan Whitehead of the New York Jets wasn't at his best in 2023, but he does have an ability to create turnovers. I think of him like a Great Value brand, Kirkland brand type product out there. He's not going to cost you a lot, but he could be a decent value buy of some sorts on the market there. Staying with the New York Jets, we find Ashton Davis also making the list as well. And Ashton Davis coming off a solid season. You don't have to break the bank for him. And another thing, too, he's only 27 years old. So you would think, in theory, he's still got a lot of good football left in him at this point in time as well. And then last on the list, this one, Jordan Poyer. One of the biggest names on this entire list. But the reason why we bring him up last is there is going to be a very competitive market for Jordan Poyer. And I would think that with the other things the Seahawks have to take care of and spend money on, I can't imagine them going top dollar for Jordan Poyer of what he's going to demand on the open market compared to other players. He's a heck of a football player. He would be a great addition, but I would be willing to guess he's likely out of the Seahawks' price range at this point in time. Now, when it comes to the safety spot, what would you rather do? We've gone through the free agents. Would you rather sign a guy, or would you rather draft somebody to replace the likes of Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams? If you rather draft, type D for draft. If you'd rather sign, type S for sign. Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right. Got some super chats we'll get to here in just a second.
Yes, indeed.
But would you rather sign or would you rather draft safety? Coop, it's not a bad year for safeties in the draft, but it's not a great year either. I think it all really just depends on who's available, how you feel. I think, personally, it's probably a little bit of both. I think the Seahawks spend at safety,
yes,
but they also probably draft a safety as well.
Yeah, I think they're going to spend rather big on safety now that both Adams and Diggs are gone. I bet they find someone at or near the top of that market to go try to find. As far as draft goes, maybe late day 2, early day 3, they look at safety there. But I could see them going after a guy like Cam Curl, who I'm surprised wasn't franchise tagged by the Commanders. I think that would be a good fit for the Seahawks defense.
Yeah, I think so. What do you guys think? D for draft, S for sign. What would you rather do at safety? Gavin says draft. Chicago sports fan says sign. Michael 808 says draft. Caden says sign. Darren says sign. Tyson says sign. G Trapo says sign. All right, first time super chatter coming in.
One moment.
First time super chatter, George. First time super chat, go Hawks. Spam George. Coop's going to get the chat going. We'll do this in George's honor. Everybody spam George in the chat. Coop, it's all you.
C!
Hawks!
C!
Hawks!
C!
Hawks, let's go, George! George of the jungle, strong as
look
he
who's
can
here.
be.
C!
Hawks!
C!
Hawks!
C!
Hawks! Smitty has made an appearance.
Welcome, Schmidt.
What
Good
up,
to see you.
How we doing?
Good to see you.
How's the show going? Good?
Very well.
Awesome.
Very well. How
The
you
guy
feeling?
from upstate New York who's a Seattle Seahawks fan.
Listen, they know me, they love me, they adore me. Let's go Hawks.
How's Eagles treating you? Not like the 12s, though, right?
No. Nothing like the 12s. Is John Smith in the house? Anybody?
No, Dan the Man is here.
Dan the Man, how we doing? Good to see you. All right, we got a little squad, a couple newcomers today. I love to see it.
Yeah. George was a first-time super chatter
Okay,
here.
shout
Yes,
out to
indeed.
George. Shout out to George.
Yes.
Electric.
Very good stuff. Smitty will be back next week. We got a crazy week ahead with free
Your
agency.
tweet,
We'll see you
about St. Bonaventure cracked me up, bro.
Next super chat from George. $5 super chat. I'm cool with the release of Jamal, Diggs, and Disley. We need the room. Jamal, Diggs, and Disley, we need the room. Yeah.
No doubt about it. They needed how much did they clear approximately? Do you know?
Over $20 million.
There you go. You needed the room, and those were the guys that they chose.
And I think you can upgrade those positions for less money as well.
Yes.
So-
Adams especially, guy was cooked, man. And then, so what's the tight end room looking like now?
Well, Kobe Parkinson's a free agent.
Okay.
And Will Disley's gone. Noah Fant's probably back. And then you're going to go probably
Then you
draft
go
a tight
shopping.
end.
Gotcha.
With that 5, that means we got to sing Old McDonald for George.
I hope I get this right.
So, George, this is for you. Here we go. Old MacDonald had a farm. C-I-E-I Hawks. Thank you, George. Much appreciated. Then George with another $10 super chat.
I really liked Mac Jones, but to me, too expensive.
Okay, so, George, it's interesting. You mentioned the expensive. A 6th-round pick. The contract is a rookie contract. It's not that much. He's not expensive right now, but he could be later.
Correct. Yeah, I don't know. 194 overall. What are the chances the Seahawks pick a guy that becomes Tom Brady there in the 6th round?
Not high.
Exactly. So if the Seahawks feel that Mac Jones could be a decent backup to Geno, it's a possibility. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but I guess never say never in this league.
All right, so we owe a player comp for George now. Coop, what do you want to go with here?
I'm going to go with the guy that's gotten better every single year that he's been in the NFL.
Okay.
I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, I like that. I like that. And George, his super chats got bigger one by one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
CeeDee Lamb, good comp for George. Somebody in this draft, a lot of potential, but we're waiting to see him explode now. I'll go Marvin Harrison Jr. for George.
Okay, I like it.
I think George,
a lot of potential.
I think George is going to explode with his next.
I love that.
George, thanks for that $10 super chat. Let's show you the super chat menu here.
Georgie.
We're at $57 now. If we get to 200, that means a boot.
Oh boy.
So we're within striking distance. We're less than 150 away from that. First time super chatter, you get the Seahawks chant. $5, we'll do the old McDonald's song. $10 get you a raffle ticket for a set of Seahawks knives we'll give away at the end of the month, and also gets you an NFL draft comp. $20 super chat gets you on our Seahawks Today Football Hall of Fame. $50 super chat will do a beer bong. Up next is our mailbag segment, and Coop, we could use some questions.
Yes, use hashtag Seahawks or super chat to get on today's show. Guarantee your spot on the show by super chatting. If you use hashtag Seahawks with your question, I will pick the best ones,
so
and we'll get into it.
I'm looking at the chat right now. Chicago sports fan, Gavin, Mr. Rod, Peter, I need all of you in the mailbag. Get your questions or comments, whatever you have on your mind, using hashtag Seahawks or super chat, and we'll put you on the mailbag segment here in just a bit. But we need some more questions. Peter, that's how it's done.
That's how it's done right there, Peter.
That's how it's done. And, Coop, you better believe I got an interesting answer when it comes to Spencer Rattler.
Oh, boy.
Of what Peter's talking about here.
Oh, boy.
We saw a lot of Spencer Rattler over the years.
Excuse me. After that weigh-in, just go into that first one straight in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. We need some more questions. Jake, I know you got some questions. Send in some questions, Jake. And if you guys think of more questions as we're going along the mailbag,
We'll pick them out.
We'll put those on screen too.
I think we've got enough here. Let me double check.
Start and then we can keep going.
Yeah.
We'll go about 8 to 10 minutes on this mailbag.
Perfecto.
So.
All right. Use hashtag Seahawks like our guy Peter or super chat, and you'll get on today's show.
I need one more question in the chat, and then we'll.
Who's it gonna be?
We'll hit go.
Who's it gonna be?
We'll hit start. Who is it gonna be? Peter says.
Oh, mama!
When are you declaring for the NFL draft, Tyler? I declare bankruptcy.
There you go.
I declare for the NFL draft.
There you have it.
Now I'm waiting on my my invite to. Where's the draft's in Detroit this year? Yeah, waiting for my invite to Detroit. We'll see what goes on there. $20 super chat.
Be careful.
From Trigger.
There you go.
We'll call him Trigger. I think the Seahawks should pick up
Josh Dobbs
as a backup
instead of
McCorkle Jones. I think Josh Dobbs, his next team, he's looking to compete to be a starter somewhere.
You think so?
I think that he has shown enough that he's going to find somewhere, I wouldn't expect him to win a job, but at least to go somewhere to compete for a job.
Okay.
If he came to Seattle, he would have to accept that he's the number 2.
Right.
We can put that in the mailbag segment too. Let me add you to our list. And here we go. Give me a second here. Trigger, congratulations. You are going to get your name added to the football. And we got to give a comp for Trigger.
I'm
going to go, I'll go with the champion. I'm going to go with Blake Corum.
Blake Corum. I was going to go along the lines of Blake's. I was going to go Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles?
Yes.
I wouldn't want to be called Blake Bortles.
Made an AFC title game.
Yeah, and then it kind of went downhill from there.
Blake Bortles when he made the AFC title game. That Blake Bortles.
Okay, that Blake Bortles.
Yes.
That's fine. Trigger, there's your draft comps. Much appreciated. Thanks for the $20 super chat. We'll include that in our mailbag segment. Final segment ahead. It is mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. And use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. So without further ado, let's get rocking and rolling here on Seahawks Today. It's mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Our mailbag segments come from our Wednesday live shows that we bring you here on the channel, where we react to the questions that people send us in real time using hashtag Seahawks or Super Chatting. And so before we go any further, I want to make sure you're part of the next mailbag segment we do here on Seahawks Today. For all the latest happenings on your favorite team, make sure you and your buddies are a part of our next mailbag segment by not just subscribing, but turning on notifications so you never miss a moment. Turn on that bell icon, turn on notifications so you stay up to date, stay locked in, and join us for our next mailbag segment right here on Seahawks Today. Jeff Bezos checking in. Good to see you, Jeff. What are the chances the Seahawks sign Chris Jones? So Chris Jones will hit free agency. I know that he said publicly that he would like to stay with the Kansas City Chiefs, but he was a few drinks in when he said that. So I don't necessarily take a whole lot of stock into that. With that said, Chris Jones is not going to be cheap. I think he is the most underrated player in the National Football League. He is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. He's the second best at his position, only to Aaron Donald. The Seahawks, at the time of this recording, have about $47 million in cap space. They have guys that they would like to sign and like to keep, like Leonard Williams and others. I just don't see them throwing the cash that it takes to pay for Chris Jones. It sounds nice. It's a pipe dream, but a dream at that. Jeff, thanks for the question there, but just don't see it happen. Now, let's ask you guys, should the Seahawks sign Chris Jones? With all that it would take, should they do it? Our pinned comment today, why for yes and for no? Why in the comment section, tell us what you think. For a limited time, we have Seahawks hats on sale now for up to 50% off plus free shipping. These are some of the hats. As you can see, we got the traditional logo, got the throwback logo, got a flat bill, and there's a number of other hats to choose from as well. You can go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats is where these hats are on sale. Get yours now. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. You'll be styling and profiling, rocking out with your hawk out with some of these fantastic hats. Go check them out for yourself. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. 50% off on some of the hats, free shipping as well. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Michael Penix III writes in, could the Seahawks try to sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? Gardner-Johnson, one of the best players in the NFL at his position. The Seahawks certainly could use some help in the defensive back room. But kind of like with Chris Jones, there's going to be a demand for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's services. I think a lot of people are going to be wanting Michael Penix. Not Michael Penix. Yeah, a lot of people do want Michael Penix. A lot of people are going to be wanting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I don't see the Seahawks throwing out the necessary cash to bring him in. He's a heck of a football player and make a lot of sense for Seattle to bring him in, but I would be surprised if they ultimately do so. Should the Seahawks sign Gardner-Johnson? Type S for sign, P for pass. Way in the comment section, let us know what you think if the Seahawks should bring him in or not. Peter writes in, if Seattle doesn't draft one of the top 6 quarterbacks, then how does the idea of drafting Spencer Rattler sound? Oh boy, Peter, you have come to the right place. Spencer Rattler. I've watched his entire career in college, pretty up close and personal, as he played for the Oklahoma Sooners and then transferred to South Carolina. He looked promising his freshman year, taking Oklahoma to a Big 12 championship and won a Cotton Bowl against the Florida Gators. Things were looking up for Spencer Rattler. And then they fell apart pretty fast. They got benched in favor of Caleb Williams. He had a bad attitude about it. He gave up on his team. Goes to South Carolina, was a turnover machine, just really up and down. I think what you're going to see with Spencer Rattler is that he looks the part, right? He is somebody that, in a pro day setting, in a combine setting, looks like an elite potential franchise quarterback. In shorts, Spencer Rattler's the guy I'd want. If we were playing 7-on-7 football, Spencer Rattler would be my first overall pick. But Spencer Rattler doesn't have the moxie, doesn't have the leadership to lead an NFL franchise. And that's why I say no to Spencer Rattler. No thanks. Dan the Man! Good to see you, Dan the Man Miller. Bang! With the $20 super chat. Here's a fun question for the fans. And you, what do you think the Seahawks rank on offense and defense by the end of the season? I'm going to be bold and say defense top 5, offense top 10. Dan the Man, thanks for the super chat, my guy. Let's start with the defense. Defense last year was ranked, what was it, about 27th, 28th, depending on the category. Realistically, I hope they can crack the top 15. Kind of hard to say with knowing that this defense is about to make a lot of changes here to how the group looks. But top 15, I think, should be the goal. As far as the offense goes, I think top 10 is very capable, very within reach. You're going to have an air raid system, which is going to be prone to more scoring, more points. It's going to help out guys like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and JSN really just explode their numbers up a bit. You should see the tight end position more involved. One of the misconceptions about the air raid offense is that you don't run the football, okay? That's fake news. That's a lie, all right? You look at what the Washington Huskies did with their run game last year. Dillon Johnson had over 1,000 yards. He was terrific running the football. Now it's more shotgun runs. They spread you out more, not so much under center, but you still run the football effectively. I think you're going to see the Seahawks offense get a lot out of their run game as well. Dan the Man, thanks for the super chat. I expect a top 10 offense. It's reasonable. Caden Cole from my hometown, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Good to see you, Caden. Much love to the 918. We're talking about Cameron Curl a couple days ago, about him as potential free agent target. He's a kid from Muskogee, which is outside of Tulsa. I was meaning to bring this up with, I'll say this before I answer this question. With Camden Curl, if the Seahawks are going to sign Cameron Curl from Washington, he lived in Muskogee. For folks that know, if you've come from Muskogee, you've seen some shit. Like, to me, that's a guy I'd want on my football team because he's going to go to war for me. If you survive the streets of Muskogee, Oklahoma, then you'll fit right in the next era of the LOB. Caden writes in, do you think the Seahawks would actually trade up for a quarterback? Really depends on how the board works out. I mean, you know, if Jaden Daniels slips, how do they feel about J.J. McCarthy? I think there's a chance they trade back and go get Michael Penix. I think that's the most likely scenario when it comes to trading and for a quarterback involved here. But still a lot of moving parts and pieces at this point. Caden, I would say no, but I wouldn't completely rule it out. George, with a $20 super chat, bang, says, I feel like it's best for us to wait and get a quarterback draft next season. What do you think? Just hang out with Gino, LOL. George, I don't think the Seahawks are picking 16 next year. I would expect the Seahawks to draft lower. So eventually you got to find your franchise quarterback, whether it's this year or next. And here's how I look at it, okay? If John Schneider and Mike McDonald, and Ryan Grubb for that matter, say themselves, there's a guy we like. This is who should be our quarterback. Whether it's J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, whatever. If there's a guy they say, I want him, then move heaven and earth and go get that quarterback. If you feel that confident. If you don't feel that confident, if you're like, we can wait a bit, we can kick that can down the road, then take care of that next year. But it should be within the next 2 years that you need to find your quarterback. I've talked about this before. I'll say it again. The perfect quarterback plan for Seattle, go find your quarterback of the future either this year or next, have them sit behind Gino for a year, and then take over from there. George, thanks for that super chat. Tell us a player you think the Seahawks will sign. Free agency getting started on Monday. Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Who is the guy that you'd like to see in a Seahawks uniform? Thanks for joining us on the channel today. You ain't alive if you ain't subscribed to Seahawks Today. Much appreciated. Subscribe now, and we'll see you next time. All right.
That's it.
We are through all our segments. We'll go back to the couple super chats that came in there in just a moment. Who's the player you think the Seahawks will sign? Give us a name in the chat. Let us know, and we'll catch up on these super chats here. Dan the Man Miller. Dan the Man coming in strong today. What a performance from Dan the Man Miller with what he's done on today's show. Let me write his name down one more time here. Dan the Man writes in, here's a fun question for the I answered this already in the show. Let's go to Coop on this. Coop, Seahawks, top 5 defense, top 10 offense. What do you think?
I think top 10 defense is probably a little more realistic. They could be a top 10 offense as well, because I have full faith that Ryan Grubb will be able to get this offense clicking quickly. It's hard to go from, what did you say, 27th?
Yeah.
In total defense? It's hard to go from 27 to top 5.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of, but it's very difficult. So I would say top 10. I think they could be top 10 in both categories.
Yeah, we'll see. Dan, thanks for that $20 super chat, my guy. Much appreciated. Then George said, was talking about waiting on a quarterback. Next year's quarterback class is really good, too.
It's good as well. You have the likes of Shadur Sanders. You have Quinn Ewers.
But I find it's going to be harder to get a quarterback next year because I expect the Seahawks to be a better team next year than they were this year.
They should be, yeah. So they'll have a worse draft pick. Absolutely.
So we'll see. George, it's a great question, though. Much appreciated. All right. Back to the Super Chat menu. Here's where we're at, folks. We are at $116 right now. Just over 85, less than 85 away from Das Boot. A boot is within striking distance. But we need your help. First-time Super Chatters, you get the Seahawks chant. $5 Super Chat, we'll sing the old McDonald's song. $10 Super Chat, you get a raffle ticket to win a set of Seahawks knives. You also get your own NFL draft comp. $20 Super Chat, you get your name added to the Seahawks Today Football Hall of Fame. $50, we get a beer bong. So I'm going to put a minute on the clock. If we get a Super Chat of any amount, we'll stay live, keep the show going, hang out with you for a bit, and go from there. If we get to $200 in Super Chats, 85 away, then a boot is going to happen on today's show. So clock starts right now, 1 minute remaining. Here we go. And we're off.
It was fun to be on Seahawks Today, Tyler. Had a great time.
Welcome back. It was good to have you here.
It was great to be here. Hopefully I'll be able to be here a little more in the future. I love hanging out with the 12s.
You're typically on Steelers with Sperry.
Yes, I'm on Steelers usually at around the same time, so I never get to see what's going on Seahawks Today, but I'm glad I could today.
But always a pleasure anytime Coop is here with us. Coop, what's on your plate this week? You got the Mavs in action.
Yes.
Texas trying to make sure they get in the tournament and all that, too?
Yep, absolutely. Going to the Mavericks versus Miami Heat game tomorrow. Texas plays Oklahoma on Saturday to round out the regular season. That's really what's on tap. Not a whole lot otherwise. Just trying to grind and get ready for NFL free agency.
I haven't seen it confirmed, but I sure hope that Oklahoma and Texas still play twice a year in basketball going to the SEC.
I would imagine they will. I would imagine. I'm not sure because they didn't play everybody twice this year, even in the Big 12.
Right.
They played Oklahoma twice, though. I hope they do get to play them twice. But it'll be awesome to see like the likes of Kentucky and Tennessee. Obviously, the Big 12 is the best basketball conference right now, but it is what it is.
And then having A&M and Texas in the same
league. It's going to be great. It's crazy that we don't play A&M every year in football.
Yeah, it's about to change, though.
It's going to have to, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I know
it's a locked rivalry in the new SEC.
No, it's not. Oklahoma's their locked rivalry.
No one has locked rivalries right now, but it's expected to be.
Okay. From what I read, they're going to play Oklahoma every year, but they're not for 25. They're going to play the 7 teams that they didn't play in 24 plus Oklahoma. That's what they said. Maybe that changes.
Maybe. We'll see. I think that they're going to be at a 9-game conference schedule in 25.
They have to be. Yeah, we got it.
I think
That's where we're
ESPN
trending.
will pony up the money to make it happen.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Didn't see any super chats come in, so we'll sign off. Guys, much appreciated. Thanks for giving
Thank
us
y'all.
an awesome show today. Always a pleasure anytime we get the chance to hang out with the 12s. For Jeffrey Cooperstein, Tyler Smith, I'm Tyler Jones. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Stay locked into the channel. Got some exciting stuff over the next coming days as we get you ready for free agency. We'll be live next week, depending on when players sign. Any